Welcome to the lecture series of Basic Electrical Engineering. The subject code is ECE 101. The topic of today's video lecture is Practical Transformer on Load. In this video lecture, we will discuss the different loads on the transformer and their phasor diagrams. So first of all, we will discuss, being a static device, a transformer could have the efficiency range as high as 98 to 99%. An ideal transformer is absolutely different from a practical transformer. Due to the presence of winding resistances, leakage flux and other losses, the performance of the practical transformer can be deviated from an ideal one. Ideal transformer on load. First of all, we will discuss the ideal transformer on load. The figure shows the transformer and the load is connecting to the secondary of the transformer. This is the ideal transformer. Consider that ideal transformer is loaded and the nature of the load is inductive. So the output or secondary current lags by the output or secondary terminal voltage V2 by an angle phi as shown in figure. This secondary current I2 produces the secondary flux which opposes the main flux in the core, so that the MMF N2 I2 is called demagnetizing ampere turns. When the load is connecting across the transformer, let's say this load is inductive load. So when inductive load is connecting, it means the current lags behind the secondary voltage. The secondary current I2 current lags behind the terminal voltage, that is V2, by an angle phi. When the current I2 is produced in this circuit, this I2 produces a flux which opposes the main flux. This is the main flux which is flowing in the circuit. But when this secondary circuit part is complete, because of the load connected, a flux is produced which opposes the flow of the main flux. But to deactivate this, the flow of the flux, a MMF magnetomotive force N2I2 is produced on this side, which demagnetize the effect of to oppose the main flux. So we need this N2I2, that is called demagnetizing ampere turns. To reduce the effect of secondary flux on the main flux, primary draws extra current I1 dash. This current is called load component of the current. To oppose the flow of this secondary flux on the primary side, a extra current starts flowing, that is called I1 dash, and this current is called load component of the current. The ampere turns N1 I1 dash balances N2 I2 ampere turns, so that the net flux remains the same. Means that the flux produced here, which opposes the main flux, is N2I2, and when this flux, the same flux is produced on the primary side, because of the extra flow of the current I1 dash, and this is N1 I1 dash. So this N1 I1 dash balances the this N2 I2. So the main flux remains the same. Hence the current I1 dash is opposite in the direction of I2, and its magnitude is determined by I1 dash is equals to N2 upon N1 into I2. So this is the magnitude. If we want to find out the magnitude of the current which is flowing on the primary side, I1 dash is N2 upon N1 into I2. This can be written as K into I2. This is the phasor diagram of the inductive load. Now, the primary current consists of both magnetizing current to produce the magnetic flux and the load component of the current I1 dash. Hence, I1 is equals to Im I1 dash. So, this is the I2, this is V1 E1, and this is the flux, this is E2 V2, and this is E1. E1 is in the opposite direction of the V1, and E1 dash, here we are writing it E1 dash, or we can write it is minus E1. So the current flowing in the secondary is I2, the current flowing opposite to I2 is I1 dash, this is I1 dash, and this is no load current I0, which is also called the magnetizing, which is equals to the magnetizing current, and we are finding out the resultant current I1. This is the resultant current I1 by completing the parallelogram. So the current flowing opposite to the to I2 is I1 dash, and I0 is the no load current. When we complete the parallelogram, the resultant current will become our I1 dash. So comparing the phasor diagram with the ideal transformer with no load, the primary current only makes the difference between them. When we are considering this phasor diagram with the ideal one, in that case we are considering primary current I1 on this side. So this is about the phasor diagram. Due to the zero resistance drop, the EMF induced in the secondary E2 is equal to V2. Because we are not considering the resistances, so E2 is equals to V2, and in the same direction as shown in this figure. So practical transformer on load. In this diagram we talked about the ideal transformer on load. Now we are talking about the practical transformer on no load. A practical transformer differs from the ideal one due to the various reasons, like finite permeability of the core, finite winding resistances, and leakage flux both in both windings. As we are having the primary and secondary windings, we are having the winding resistances as well as we are having the leakage flux in both the windings in practical transformers. When the core is subjected to the alternating magnetic flux, eddy current and hysteresis losses takes place. So in the practical transformer we are having the eddy current and hysteresis losses. These are called as iron or core losses. The primary winding of the practical transformer has certain resistance, and hence small primary copper losses are also present. Therefore, when the practical transformer is operating, it takes primary current to supply both core and winding losses. The primary current produces the losses. This is the phasor diagram of when we are having the no load. Thus the no load current consists of two components. This is to recap the phasor diagram when we are having no load. When no load current consists of two components, this is our no load current I0, and it is having the two components. One is the magnetizing component and another one is the active component. So the first component is magnetizing component, which is written as Im, which is responsible for producing the necessary flux in the core. Another component is active or core loss component, that is IC or IW. This can be written as IC or IW, which supplies the total losses in the core. So the primary current is given by I0 is equals to Im plus IC. Due to the winding resistance in the practical transformer, the no load current I0 is no longer lags by the voltage at angle 90 degree. Thus I0 lags by the voltage V1 by an angle phi naught. Thereby no load power factor exists as shown in figure. So as we are having the winding resistances in the practical transformer, this no load current is not at the 90 degree angle, so it is at the angle of less than 90 degree. So I0 lags the voltage V1 by an angle phi naught, and this phi naught defines the power factor. From the phasor diagram, the magnetizing component of no load current, if we want to the magnetizing component from this phasor diagram, then Im is written as I0 sin phi naught. The core loss component of no load current IC, this IC or IW, here we can write it as this can be written as IC. IC is equals to IW is equals to IA. It is active component, working component or core component. It is varying from books to books. So here it is written IW, or we can say IC. So it is equals to I0 cos phi naught. No load current magnitude, if we want to find out the magnitude of this I0, this is I0 is equals to under root, this is I0 is equals to under root Im square plus IC square. Then when phi naught, no load angle between, where this phi naught is our the no load angle between the primary voltage V1 and the current. Total power input on no load is given by total power when we are having no load, it is given by W0 is equals to V1 primary voltage into I0 cos phi naught, which is our IC component. It is to be noted that for a well-designed transformer, the no load current is the primary, no load current in primary is about 3 to 5% of the rated or full load current. Due to the small winding resistance, the copper losses are negligible. As we are having the less winding resistance, the copper losses are negligible. They are very small. We can neglect them. Thus, the power input to the practical transformer operating on no load represents the iron losses in the transformer and are constant due to all load conditions. So, the iron losses are constant. And it is given W0. W0 is our total power input on no load, which is equals to Vi into cos V1 into I0 into cos phi naught is equals to iron losses. So this is the formula for the iron losses, and they are negligible due to the they are very less and are constant, and copper losses are negligible due to small winding resistance. Then practical transformer on load, no winding resistance. A practical transformer on load works on two conditions. The first condition is when no winding resistance and no leakage flux. First condition, when we are having no winding resistance and no leakage flux. So the second condition, when the transformer is having winding windings, primary and secondary windings are having resistance, winding resistances, and also they are having the leakage flux. So we are working on these two conditions. We are considering the conditions one by one. The first condition, transformer on load without winding resistance and leakage reactance. This diagram is shown. The moment when the load is connecting to the transformer, the secondary current starts flowing through the load. Depends on the load connected at the secondary, the magnitude and the phase of the secondary current I2 varies. This I2 depends upon the type of load connected. In case resistive load, I2 is in phase with I1. As I have told you in the previous video lectures also, when we are having the resistive load, the current is always in phase with the voltage. So when we are connecting the resistive load in the transformer, then I2, this I2 current is in phase with the voltage V2. Similarly, if we are having the capacitive load, I2 leads voltage V2, and if we are having the inductive load, then I2 lags the V2. So due to the secondary MMF N2 I2, this is a secondary MMF N2 I2, the secondary current I2 sets up the magnetic flux phi 2 in the core. When this I2 is produced in the secondary side, it produces a magnetomagnetic force N2 I2, and this N2 I2 produces a flux phi 2 which opposes the flow of the main flux phi. So a flux phi 2 dash is to be produced on the primary side to oppose this phi 2 flux, so that the main flux remains the same. This secondary flux opposes the main flux which is produced by the magnetizing component. This MMF is called demagnetizing Ampere's turn. This this flux which is produced is called demagnetizing Ampere turn. Due to this opposition of flux, the EMF induced in the primary is reduced. Due to this opposition of the flux, the EMF induced in the primary E1 is reduced. The primary draws more current from the supply due to the increased vector difference V1 minus E1. This additional current withdrawing is due to the load and hence called as load component of the primary current. So because of this difference V1 minus E1 and because of this flux produced on the secondary, extra current I2 dash flows on the primary side which opposes the flow of this flux. So this current deactivates the flow of this I2 dash. This load component current is anti-phase with I2. If means I2 dash is in opposite direction of I2, means if or we can say I2 is opposite to I2 dash. This load component current is anti-phase with I2 and produce the flux phi 2 dash. This I2 dash produces the flux phi 2 dash in order to neutralize the effect of phi 2. Hence means that if I am telling you in the simple words, I will come to this. When the circuit is complete, the current I2 is produced in the secondary side. Because of this secondary current, a magnetomotive force is produced, that is N2 I2, and this force produces the flux phi 2, which is flowing in the opposite direction to the main flux. So it opposes the effect of this main flux, but the main flux is required for the working of the transformer, so we need something to neutralize this phi 2. So to neutralize this phi 2, a phi 2 dash is produced which opposes or which neutralize this phi 2 dash, and the main flux is flowing in the circuit in a normal way. So this is about all that. So N1 N2 dash is equals to N2. This is to neutralize the effect. If N1 N2 dash is produced, if N2 I2 is produced on the secondary side, then N1 N2 dash should produce on the primary side to neutralize the effect. And if we want to find out the magnitude of the current I2 dash, then it can be find out I2 dash is equals to N2 upon N1 into I2. So this is about how to find I2 dash. Thus, the primary current I1 of the transformer under load has two components. The first one is no load current, which has both magnetizing component Im and core loss component Ic. The current I1 in the transformer under load has the two components. One is magnetizing component and another is core loss component. The primary current lags by the supply voltage by an angle of phi. Other current is the load component of current I2 dash, which is anti-phase with secondary current I2. As I have told you previously that I2 dash is out of phase of I2. The phase of this angle is decided by the nature of load connected. If we are having the resistive load, then it is in phase. If we are having the capacitive load, then it is leading. If we are having the inductive load, then it is lagging. Now we are discussing the transformers with resistive load. This diagram shows a phasor diagram in which we are having the resistive load connected. Now this is the V1 produced in the primary side. Because of this V1, the E1 is produced in the opposite direction, and this is E2, and E2 is the induced voltage of the secondary, and this is our I0 no load current, and this is I2 dash, and the resultant of these, because here I2 is in phase with this E2, or we can say V2, because we are having the resistive load. Because of this is in phase, and its opposite is I2 dash, so we draw it in the opposite direction. We complete the parallelogram, and this resultant is our I1 dash. Now here I can redraw it for the reference point. We are having V1, and opposite to it we are having E1, and we are having E2 voltage, and we are having V2, and on this side we are having phi. We are having the angle, this is no load current, and I2 current is flowing when we are having the resistive load. It is in phase. This is I2, its opposite is I2 dash. Now complete the parallelogram, and this is our I1. So this we want to find out. So this is a phasor diagram of resistive load. Then similarly we are having the phasor diagram of inductive load. Now in the case of inductive load, the current I2 lags E2. So this is the current I2 lags by an angle phi 2. So these are same. V1 is the voltage in the primary, this is the opposite induced voltage E2, E1, this is the induced voltage on the secondary side, this is the I2 current which is flowing, and this is lags behind because of inductive load, and opposite to this we draw this I2 dash, that the same amount we are having on the opposite side, and this is our no load current, and we complete the parallelogram, and this resultant is our I1 dash. For reference I redraw this for your simplicity, and this is V1, this is E1, this is E2 and V2, and this is angle I2 by an angle phi 2, and its opposite is, it is of same direction. I redraw this. This is I2 dash, this is our no load current, complete the parallelogram, and this resultant is our I1 dash. So this is the how we draw the phasor diagram for the inductive load. Then we are having the transformer with capacitive load. So in the capacitive load, the current I2 leads by an angle phi 2. I2 leads V2 or E2 by an angle phi 2. So this is our V2, its opposite is our I1 dash, this is V1 on the primary, E1 on the induced voltage in the opposite direction, this is E2, and this is our no load current. Now complete the parallelogram, and this is our resultant. So this we want to find out. So this is about the capacitive load. Now the next condition is when the transformer on load with winding resistance and leakage reactance. Now in this condition we consider the winding resistance as well as the leakage reactance. In the previous three cases we are considering no winding resistance and no leakage reactance. So when we are considering the winding resistance, we are having R1 is the winding resistance and X1 is the leakage reactance on the primary side, R2 on the secondary side, and X2 on the secondary side. The practical transformer winding possesses certain resistance. These resistances of both primary and secondary windings not only cause the voltage drop, these resistances causes the voltage drops I1 R1 and I2 R2 respectively in respective windings, but also ohmic losses. These resistances causes the winding voltage drops. Voltage drop is given by I1 R1 for primary, I2 R2 for secondary, and similarly they gives the ohmic losses. Losses means the power loss. It is I1 square R1 for primary, I2 square R2 for secondary. So these are giving the voltage drops as well as the losses. Then when the current flows through the primary I1, the winding resistance causes a voltage drop I1 R1. Due to this, the EMF induced in the primary no longer equals to the supply voltage V1. As in the previous case, we told that V1 is equals to E1 but in the opposite direction. But in this case, when we are considering the winding resistance and the leakage reactance, this V1 no longer equals to E1. Therefore, E1 is equals to V1 minus I1 R1, the voltage drop across the resistance. Similarly, the EMF induced in the secondary will not appear across the load terminal due to the drop I2R2. So it is also given by V2 is equals to V2 voltage in the secondary. Here the voltage in the secondary, this V2 is equals to E2 induced voltage minus the drop across this resistance. Then in the above two equations, the subtraction should be performed vectorly. These drops are purely resistive and hence these are in phase with respective currents. So because we are talking about the resistance, they are in phase. Also in practical transformer, in addition to the mutual or useful flux that links both primary and secondary windings, a portion of this flux that completes the path through the air and links with respective windings alone is called leakage flux. As we are talking about the practical transformers, we are having the mutual inductance, we are having the mutual flux, and because of the link between the primary and secondary, there is some leakage in the flux. So that is called leakage flux. The primary leakage flux is produced by the current I1 and the linkage links only with the primary winding. The secondary leakage flux is produced by the current I2 and links only with the secondary winding. These leakage flux causes self-induced EMF E2 and E1 and E2 in respective windings. In primary we are having E1 and in secondary we are having E2. Hence, to produce E1 in the primary, the supply voltage has to overcome the self-induced EMF in the primary. Similarly, to produce the secondary terminal voltage V2, the induced EMF E2 has to overcome secondary self-induced EMF due to the leakage flux. These EMFs are considered as voltage drop or reactance drop across the fictitious reactances connected in series with windings. Thus, I1X1 is the primary reactance drop and I2X2 is the secondary reactance drop. I1X1 on the primary side and I2X2 on the secondary side. Then the basic voltage equation of the transformer will become, now when we are having the voltage drop due to this leakage flux, then the equation will become E1 is equals to induced voltage on the primary E1 V1 the applied voltage minus the voltage drop across the resistance minus the voltage drop across the reactance. Similarly, V2 will become E2 induced voltage minus the voltage drop across the resistance R2 and the voltage drop across the reactance X2. Thus, by considering the effect of leakage reactance and winding resistance, a transformer can be visualized as below figure. So, the circuit will become like this. When we are connecting the load and we are having this resistance and reactance, now we know that why we are putting this R1 and X1 and R2 and X2. These are the resistances in leakage, resistances of the windings, and this reactance is due to the leakage flux. Also, no load current carried by the primary current in the transformer is required to maintain the mutual flux. No load current I0 is required to maintain the mutual flux in the core as well as to respond to the core losses. With the no load equivalent, the practical transformer on load is shown as shown in this figure. This is also called the equivalent circuit of the transformer when we are showing all the components, and this shows the no load component. And when I naught is divided into IC, the core current and the magnetizing current. The figure shows a phasor diagram of the transformer which is operating with the load. The secondary current I2 lags the voltage across the load V2 by an angle phi 2. So the power factor of the load is cos phi 2. I think we are talking about these diagrams when we are connecting the loads in the practical transformer and when we are considering the winding resistance as well as leakage flux. So when we are talking about the inductive load, this inductive load, the current I2 lags behind the voltage by an angle phi 2, and its opposite current is I1 dash. I2 I naught is our no load current, and by completing the parallelogram we find out I1 dash. Now we are having the resistance voltage drop across the resistance. So parallel to this I1 we draw this voltage drop I1 R1. This is our voltage drop across the resistance on primary side. Fine. And the drop across the reactance is on 90 degree. So on its 90 degree we draw I1 X1 and join this line. From this 0 to G we joined this line, and this is our V1. So this circuit is complete. Now on the primary side, same, this I2 R2, parallel to this I2 we draw this parallel line. This is the voltage drop across I2 R2 across the resistance, and on its 90 degree we draw I2 X2 and we join this, and this will give us the V2. So this is how we draw the phasor diagram at inductive load. Similarly for the capacitive load we are having the current I2 leads by an angle phi 2 and its opposite angle is I1 dash. This is our no load current. We complete the parallelogram and we find out this I1. So this is how we draw I1. Now parallel to this I1 we draw this I1. This is our voltage drop. Why we are drawing on after E1? Because it affects our induced voltage as shown in the equation. So 90 degree to this, इसके 90 degree पे हम बनाएंगे I1 X1. So on this 90 degree we draw this. So this is our and we join this to this G1. This is called V1. So this is how we make the capacitive load. So hope you understand this. Similarly on the secondary side we are having this current I2. Parallel to this current we draw a current this I2 R2 after this V2, and then this 90 degree, and this is about the capacitive load. Then in resistive load we are having the current in phase with the voltage. So this is in phase, V2 and I2 are in phase with each other, and this is I2 dash in the opposite direction, and we complete I1 by completing the parallelogram. Parallel to this we draw this I1 R1, and 90 degree to this we draw I1 X1. We join this line, this is our V1, and on the secondary side parallel, this is our I1 I2 R2 90 degree to this I2 X2, sorry, I2 X2, and we join this and we will get this is I2 Z2. So this is how the different loads are working. I am showing you one by one. This is the equation, that's why we are putting these values after this. So this is the equivalent circuit, and this is inductive and capacitive load, and this is about the resistive load. So this is again the diagram of the equivalent circuit of the transformer, in which we are considering R1, X1 and I naught components. This is I naught, IW and IM, and this is R2 and X2. When we are considering all the components, that is called the equivalent circuit of the transformer. Then no load components. Yeah, this is important to discuss. When we are talking about the no load components, no load current, it has the two components, namely IM and IW. IM is the magnetizing component, which is given by I naught sine phi naught, and IW is equals to core loss component, that is I naught cos phi naught. So this IW supplies for the no load losses and is assumed to flow through the no load resistance, which is known as core loss resistance R naught, as shown in the figure. This is our R naught. So just to tell you why we are considering this R naught and X naught. This is because of the no load components, because no load current is divided into two parts, IM and IW. IW is also called IC, the core losses, and it is due to this R naught. Fine. IW supplies for no load losses and assumed to flow through the no load resistance, which is also known as core loss resistance R naught. The magnetizing component IM is assumed to flow through the reactance, which is known as magnetizing reactance X naught. The parallel combination of R naught and X naught is called exciting circuit. From the equivalent circuit of the transformer, we can find out these two values. R naught is equals to V1 upon IW, and X naught is equals to V1 upon IM. The core loss resistance R naught and magnetizing reactance X naught of the transformer are determined by the open circuit test of the transformer. This component is called exciting circuit, and this is R naught due to this IW and X naught due to this IM. And if we are talking about this side, primary side of the circuit, of the equivalent circuit, these are called primary components. The components on the primary side of the circuit of a transformer are called primary components. It consists of the resistance R1 and reactance X1 corresponding to the winding resistance and leakage reactance of the primary winding. The total current I1, this is the total current, which divides into two parts, I2 dash and I naught. The total current I1 on the primary side is equals to the phasor sum of I naught and I2 dash. As if you seen in the phasor diagram, we are finding I1 from the resultant of I naught and I2 dash. I2 dash is equals to K I2 is the additional primary current I2 dash. This I2 dash is the additional primary current which flows due to the load connecting to the secondary side of the transformer. When we are connecting load to the secondary, here when we are connecting load to the secondary side, and as I have told in the previous theory, the flux phi 2 is produced to neutralize this phi 2. This current is flowing in the circuit. Now secondary components, these are the secondary components of the transformer, in which we are having R2 and X2, and if we consider this combined, that is become ZL. The equivalent circuit of single phase transformer is further simplified by transferring all the quantities to either to primary or secondary side. This is done in order to make the calculations easily. This is the complete circuit, equivalent circuit, when we are having the two sides, primary side and secondary side. But in the equivalent circuit, we can move the secondary side towards the primary. As shown in this figure, this part is of secondary side, but we are moving this part to the primary side. So this is called equivalent circuit of transformer referred to primary, means we are referring it towards the primary. This is our primary circuit, in which we are having R1, X1 and this exciting circuit. After that we are connecting R2 and X2. When they are shifting towards the primary side, they will become R2 dash and X2 dash, and their combination is called Z2 dash. And this is load is also shifted to the primary side, that will become ZL dash. And keep one thing in mind, that when we are shifting the secondary components towards the primary, that is called referred to the primary, this R2 dash is becoming R2 dash is equals to R2 upon K square. Similarly, X2 dash is equals to X2 upon K. Means that for remembering, when we are referring to the primary side, this K factor is divided with the value. Now this is the what I have told you, that this is our primary circuit already. This is a secondary which is shifted towards the primary. So it is called transformer referred to primary. Now all the components on the secondary side of the transformer are transferred to the primary side. All the components are transferred to the primary side. Means R2 dash, X2 dash and ZL dash are the values which are replaced. When we are replacing R2, it will become R2 dash. When we are replacing X2, it will become X2 dash. When we are replacing ZL, it will become ZL dash. Now for finding out the values of these components are obtained as follows. As I have told you, R2 dash is equals to R2 upon K square. X2 dash is equals to X2 upon K square. ZL dash is equals to ZL upon K square, where K क्या है हमारा? K is N2 upon N1, number of windings on the secondary upon number of windings on primary. This is called transformation ratio. The current I2 and the voltage E2 are also referred to the primary side when these are also referred to the primary side, and they are represented I2 dash and E2 dash. The expression for I2 dash and E2 dash are given by this. E2 dash is equals to E2 dash is equals to E2 upon K, and I2 dash is equals to K into I2. Then equivalent circuit of transformer referred to secondary. Now all the circuit of the primary side is moved towards the secondary side. Now this is our secondary circuit, and the primary, this is the primary part which we are moving towards the secondary. So all this primary part is moving towards the secondary, and this is called referred to secondary. Now we are considering the primary part towards the secondary. Now one question comes into your mind, that why we are shifting primary towards the secondary or secondary towards the primary. This is only to make the calculations easy. When we are solving the circuits of transformers, when we are doing the calculations, these equivalent circuits make them easy. So when we are moving the primary towards the secondary, that R1 becomes R1 dash, X1 becomes X1 dash, and I1 becomes I1 dash, and this exciting circuit, all the components will become dash, means IW become IW dash, IM becomes IM dash, the no load current I0 becomes I0 dash, similarly R0 dash, X0 dash. Equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to secondary. Now this is the explanation when we are shifting them towards the secondary, how the values are changing. R1 dash is written as K square R1, and X1 dash is written as K square X1. As in the previous case, when we are referring towards the primary, we are dividing them, means we are dividing with K square, but here we are multiplying with K square. So R0 is K square R0, X0 dash is equals to K square X0. So this is how we are finding the values. The primary voltage and currents are also generated to the secondary side, and they are written as I1 dash, V1 dash, I2, I0 dash, E1 dash, and these are the formulas for all these, where K is again the transformation ratio. So this is about equivalent circuit of transformer referred to secondary. Now this is the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer. Now what's the difference between the equivalent circuit and approximate equivalent circuit? If you look into the circuit carefully, this circuit, this exciting circuit is shifted before the resistances, as in the actual equivalent circuit these are considered after this. But when we are talking about approximate, this part is shifting before R1. So this is called approximate equivalent circuit. An approximate equivalent circuit is one which is obtained by shifting the exciting circuit to the left of the R1 and X1 as shown in figure. As I have shown you in the figure, that these are shifting, यहाँ पे होता है हमारा, but we are shifting it towards the right of R1, left of R1 and X1. We are shifting it here. Although this shifting creates an error in the voltage drop across R1 and X1, yet it greatly simplifies the calculation work and gives much simplified equivalent circuit. Now it is possible to combine resistance R1 and R2 dash, X1 and X2 dash, so that R1 and R2 dash are combined to obtain equivalent resistances of the transformer referred to the primary. Therefore R0, okay, if I am having the circuit, wait, now when we are shifting it towards the left, we are combining this R1 and R2 dash, X1 and X2 dash, and this will simplify the calculations. So the formula for simplification, this is given by R01, and it is R1 plus R2 dash, and it can be written as R1 plus R2 by k square. Similarly for x1 and x2 को जब combine करेंगे, we will get this equation, and if we are considering as impedances, then it will become z is equals to r naught plus j x naught. Then we are considering the losses in the transformer. In any electric machine, loss can be defined as the difference between input power and output power. An electrical transformer is a static device, hence mechanical losses like windage or friction losses are absent because it is a static component, it placed only in one place, so such type of losses are not considered, are absent in the static devices. A transformer also consists of electrical losses. कौन से losses होते हैं? Iron losses and copper losses. Therefore, losses are similar to losses in DC machines, except that transformer do not have mechanical losses. First of all, we are talking about the core losses or the iron losses. Eddy current loss and hysteresis loss depends upon the magnetic properties of the material used for the construction of the core. Hence, these losses are also known as core losses or iron losses. Hysteresis losses in the transformer. Hysteresis loss is due to the reversal of the magnetization in the transformer core. This loss depends upon the volume and the grade of the iron, frequency of the magnetic reversal, and the value of the flux density, and it is given by this formula. Here, eta is the hysteresis constant, V is the volume of the core, and it is WH is equals to eta B max 1.6 FV, and units are watts. Then eddy current loss in the transformer. In transformer, AC current is supplied to the primary winding, which sets up alternating magnetizing flux. When this flux links with secondary winding, it produces induced EMF in it, but some part of this flux also gets linked with the other conducting parts like steel core or iron body in the transformer, which results in the induced EMF in those parts also, causing small circulating current in them. This current is called eddy current, which is considered as a type of loss because this is the unwanted current. Due to this eddy current, some energy will be dissipated in the form of heat. So, in the transformer, we are having the core losses or iron losses, hysteresis losses, and eddy current losses. Then copper losses. Copper loss is due to ohmic resistance of the transformer winding. The windings, primary winding and secondary windings, there is some ohmic resistance, and this is because of that. Copper loss for primary winding is I1 square R1, for secondary is I2 square R2. As on the primary side we are having the R1 resistance, and on the secondary side we are having the R2 resistance. Similarly, I1 current on primary side and I2 current on the secondary current. So this is about the copper losses. Open circuit test of single phase transformer. So we are talking about the open circuit test of single phase transformer. In this the secondary side, this side is kept open. That is why this is called open circuit single phase transformer test. And this is the setup in which we are having a voltmeter, ammeter, and a power meter, or we can say watt meter. So this is the auto transformer which regulates the voltage this is the applied voltage. So this is the setup. This is low winding, low voltage winding, and this is high voltage winding. What open circuit test will do? The setup for the open circuit test of a transformer is shown in figure. This test is carried on the transformer to determine its iron losses. When we want to find out the iron losses in the transformer, we are doing the open circuit test. In this test, generally AC voltage is applied on the low voltage side and the secondary is kept open. That is why it is called open circuit test. The primary reason of performing open circuit test on the low voltage side is that it draws significantly large no load current for convenient reading. Also, it requires only low voltage supply which is easily available and safe to perform the test. This test is performed to determine the iron losses R0 and X0 of the transformer. To find out the value of R0 and X0, this test is performed. So calculations, how to find out these values. Step 1. Calculate no load power factor cos phi. As we know from the wattmeter reading, W0 is equals to V0 I0 cos phi. From this formula, we find out cos phi naught is equals to W naught upon V naught I naught. Fine. And Im is the magnetizing current, Iw is the working current or the core current, and from that we are finding out R naught. R naught is equals to V naught upon Iw, and units are ohms, and X naught is equals to V naught upon Im, and units are ohms. So this is how we are finding out the parameters of open circuit test. Then short circuit test. In the short circuit test, we join the secondary side with the thick copper wire. A thick copper wire is connecting on the secondary side, and same we are having the voltmeter, ammeter and power meter or the wattmeter. This shows the setup. An auto transformer, why we are using auto transformer, is used in the circuit to adjust the input voltage precisely to rated voltage. Then ammeter, voltmeter and wattmeter are connected in the circuit to measure current, voltage and powers. In this test, generally high voltage side is connecting to the AC supply and low voltage side is connecting to the short circuit with the help of thick copper wire. Now the calculations. Now here we are finding out the short circuit values. Then WS short circuit means we are finding out the wattmeter reading. During the short circuit, it is given by VSC ISC cos phi SC. SC means short circuit. So we are finding out the power factor from here. Then wattmeter reading WSC indicates full load copper losses, and it is given by this formula. And I01, we are finding out IR01 is equals to WS upon I square SC, and similarly we are finding out X01. 01 is for the approximate equivalent circuit, as I have told you in the previous. Here we are finding out the values of approximate circuit. So this is how we are finding these three values. We are finding R01, X01 and Z01, and full load copper losses can be calculated from the short circuit test on the transformer. Then efficiency of a transformer. The efficiency of a transformer is defined as the ratio of output power to the input power. It is denoted by eta. The output power is always less than the input power due to the losses in the transformer. Practically, the transformer efficiency is always between 0 and 1, that is 0% and 100%, but it can never be 1 or 100%. The efficiency of an ideal transformer is equal to 1 or 100% since the losses in the ideal transformer are 0. So when we want to find out the efficiency of the transformer, we always consider the output power upon the input power. So these are the formulas for finding out the efficiency: output power upon input power, and it can be written as output power upon output power plus losses, and losses can be written as iron losses plus copper losses, and these are the formulas for output power, and these are the formula for output power plus iron losses plus copper losses. So V2 is the secondary terminal voltage, I2 is the full load secondary current, cos phi is the load power factor, P1 is the iron losses which is equals to hysteresis losses plus eddy current losses, PC is the copper losses which is given by this formula, and R02 is the equivalent resistance of the transformer referred to the secondary. So these are the values which we are using. Then all day efficiency of the transformer. All day efficiency of a transformer is defined as the ratio of output energy which is measured in kilowatts then to the input energy for 24 hours. The iron loss takes place for the whole day, but the copper loss takes place only when the transformer is loaded. So this is all about the transformers. Hope you like this lecture. Thank you so much.